back in the day quite a bit, but it was a lot simpler back then. Now it's not as easy. But
Definitely.
yeah, this is my buddy Matt. We met at Sony Camera Camp, and he's from like what 2 hours from me or so. So
Right. Yeah. Georgia.
yeah, over in Georgia. So it was pretty cool to meet someone that's somewhat in my area that was at the Sony Camera Camp, and that was a phenomenal experience for the two of us. We got to meet a lot of new creators. We're still in touch. We got this whole Discord or what's it? Discord
Right.
Discord chat going, trying to get some other stuff going for some future events and things like that. So like we've kept up with each other. We connected, and he discovered that I have a photography, videography business. I'm just going to say a creative business, so I don't have to say those two words the whole time that we're talking about this. So like we were chatting back and forth on Twitter, and he was asking some questions. I'm like, man, this would be such a good podcast discussion. So we're like, let's do it. And
Right.
this is going to kick off the podcast. So we're going live for now, but I'm also going to trim it down and edit it down to a good audible solution. But I figured that this would be a good way to try out the whole podcasting kind of stuff for the YouTube channel. So give somewhat of an introduction for the purpose of this stream. Matt, just kind of give some background about what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. So I've been doing YouTube for a while. I've always liked taking pictures and things like that. But recently I've started getting back into YouTube a lot heavier. So I have a nice rhythm going, and I'm looking for ways to kind of stay creative, aside from just making videos about phones and cases and things like that. So I started looking at, some opportunities to do some photography, some photo shoots and maybe some real estate photography. But I was kind of curious about what all has to happen to make that happen. Do I need to, get a business license, and do I need to, buy any new equipment? Do I need to, find some templates for contracts? Do I take deposits? Do I, all that type of
Right.
stuff that can normally cause a lot of headaches and stress. I have a full-time job, so this is a kind of a night weekend gig that I'm trying to, develop into a full-time job. So I know that that's what you do. And as we got to get to know each other at Camera Camp, I was like, how awesome would it be to be a full-time creator and then my hobby allow me to go to places like Camera Camp?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that just seems like a nice work-life balance / getting that fulfillment from, being able to, take videos and pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely didn't start full time. So like the steps that to answer your questions about like the legalities and things like that. Yeah, definitely you want to get a business license. You want to get business insurance. You want to nail down your name and branding as well. I actually went through 3 different changes. So, which, I mean, they played out well. I started out as Bain Creative, and I liked it for a while, but then it got really confusing for people for some reason. And it was kind of confusing for me to explain it as well. So I was like, I'm just going to cut it and just do what so many other people do and just go by my name, which was Joshua Bain. That's just what I went with.
Okay.
So that worked out pretty well because it got my name out in the community. People they just knew the name Joshua Bain pretty well, or got to know it pretty well. And that branding worked out pretty well for a while. But then it got to a point where, I wasn't going to be doing this thing all by myself. And like my wife started helping out a lot, and it was just kind of awkward. Like, so who do you work for? And like Joshua Bain, like so.
Yeah.
It got awkward for her. I was like, what's wrong with that? Like,
yeah. What's up?
So yeah, I'll leave that alone. But,
yeah, right.
So I started thinking and planning out a rebrand, and that's where my current company name is Evergreen Creative Company, and it covers mostly photography and videography stuff. We also do some like marketing a little bit and some design here and there. That's kind of on the lighter end of stuff, but definitely working with a lot of companies doing photography, videography kind of stuff. Now, the way I got into it was I also started on YouTube. Like I got my Bain Tech channel. I still try to keep up with it as much as possible. It's not as active as I would like it to be, but I'm working towards kind of getting that back on track and par. Without the channel, I would not be where I'm at now. So that's a pretty cool step, because, well, I want to say step. It helped to get me another tunnel, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Another pathway to try to trek on. So what happened was, like, I had some pretty good momentum going with Bain Tech, but I also was, I got photographer friends and stuff like that. And one of the photographers that, Chelsea, she said that I should try to get into wedding videos. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll see how it goes. I never thought I would be part of weddings. And,
that's serious business right there.
Yeah. So
you messed that up. That's a memory forever. That's why I never got into it.
But it's just like, so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then, like, I had some friends that were getting married at the time as well. So I was like, what you hear about, do that one free one, get that under your belt, and then see how it goes. Like, it's not much, like, they can't ask much from you because it's for free. And then if something goes wrong, you're just like, okay, I'm just not going to do this at all. But things worked out. And even for my first video, I could say so myself, kind of thing, that it turned out well for, I was doing product reviews, and, that's just a whole different kind of game, like wedding videos versus tech reviews. How does that work out? But it worked out. A couple months later, I was able to book my first paid wedding, and it just kind of started building up from that point on. So yeah, that was kind of the progression of it all. And it was pretty, like, I would never get, like, 5 years ago, I would not even guess that I'd be on this direction that I'm in right now. But it's been fun. I love it. I do weddings, I do corporate stuff, personal projects, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was like, so what do you, so what is your time being filled with this creative company, this production company? Are you doing, one wedding a month and a lot of corporate videos? You mentioned some design as well. So you're doing, like, graphics and stuff like that, logos and things?
I don't personally do it, and that's part of the reason why I went the creative company side, because I can bring in other people that I'm not skilled at. So I'm currently talking with someone to kind of partner up with stuff like that. So that way we can cover those bases too. So it's like a one-stop shop for companies. They can get photography, videography, and various other kind of creative sources. The marketing side of stuff, like, with the experience with YouTube, I've been able to gain knowledge, because I'm always constantly, like, even since Bain Tech started, like, you just kind of learn those marketing tactics of how to market yourself, how to get to where you can just promote things and learn how to work with other companies and all that kind of stuff. So just with that experience, I've got some experience with working with companies, working with brands and all that kind of stuff. And learning, like, also, like, I'm not saying like I'm a guru in, like, marketing and all that kind of stuff, but I know enough to get me by. I know what works and things like that. So being able to kind of figure out that kind of stuff with the company and then match it with some quality photography and videography, it's a win-win for everybody. So yeah, like, that's a big thing with the creative company. It's not just myself doing stuff, because it's gotten to a point where I can do everything on my own. Like, I would say last year or so, it's been probably a good year, that my wife, she started a second shooting with me, and that was a decision. When you're a business owner, you start looking at expenses, and hiring someone on is a huge expense, even just a second shoot for one project, whether it's a wedding or a corporate gig or something like that. So she kind of stepped in there so that way it could save us that money. But it got to a point now that we are actually hired on my brother-in-law to do some of the editing. And just coming in once a week has made, like, a world of a difference. So, like, that's another thing too, is, like, even though as a business owner, you want to try to be careful of the expenses, you have to look and see where some beneficial expenses come from. And hiring him to come in and do that editing, like, I had a backlog at the beginning of the summer. Yeah, it was like taking about 3 to 4 months to turn in a wedding, and that's just I would love
Oh,
it to be a whole lot sooner. And it's not like a terrible turnaround time, just depending on like what's being ordered. But like he was able to, him coming in, we caught up in just like a month.
wow.
And so yeah, like
Wow.
the turnaround time is so much better now. And so like also like he's able
So
to work.
what's your role in that though? Are you letting him just kind of edit the way he wants to, and then you kind of are the editor or the producer per se, like you're kind of managing the creative direction of it, or because you shot it, so you
Yeah.
kind of have an idea of what scenes you want together and things like that. So how does that work though?
So with him editing, the way I've got that kind of managed is it's freezing in here right now. Too. It's like I'm sitting here chilling.
It's going like this.
I'm like, oh, it's so cold. I got the air blowing right down. Like normally during the day, it's like hot, so
Right.
it's like colder now. But
It's like
anyways,
50 degrees right now.
right. Yeah, it's like us here in the south. It's like it's 50 degrees. It's cold now.
Right.
So, anyways, yeah, the way I manage that is well, for one, he also second shoots with us as well. So he's been able to recently second shoot with us, so he can see the concept of you shoot for the edit. And that's something that one of the I would say knowledge nuggets that you'll want to take away with this conversation is like you want to shoot the edit. So when you're shooting, you know how it's going to turn out in the edit and how you can plan for it. So he's been able to help second shoot with some stuff. But anyways, what he'll do is like let's use a wedding for example. There's I got 3 different tiers of packages, but there's a way that you can just order different things of what you want. So you got a full ceremony recording, you got first dances and stuff like that. So things that are more like just a full recording, he'll go in there. That's time consuming. That's the other thing too. He'll edit those down, and then he's got to points where I can just kind of skim over it, just like watch it, go through it, and I'm not having to make too many changes because he's just starting to nail it down pretty well. And so
Okay.
like I'll still, just because I need to, and it's not like he's doing a bad job or anything like that. It's just I still have to go through it and make sure that everything's tight and stuff. So that's kind of how I have him doing that kind of stuff. There's been a few more creative projects that I've let him do. That's kind of more template based kind of stuff, and he's done really well with that kind of stuff. So at this point in the game, he's editing the stuff that just more like busy work in a way to put it, and I'll work on the more creative type stuff. So that's kind of how that's been working, and it's been pretty great.
Okay. So build nail down the naming, your company name, and you got business. You said business license, business insurance.
You also want to
I,
get an
I, I,
LLC because LLC it's like a form of insurance in a way because it helps protect assets.
okay.
So if someone decides to go after you, lawsuit or something like that, they don't go after your name; they go after the LLC.
Okay. Is this live? I just saw a live comment right now. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, we are live.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought we were okay.
Unbox Warehouse, aren't you the one we? If I'm not mistaken, we were doing the light painting class together. So I think that's the same guy. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We got some pretty sweet shots after the light painting class too. Yeah, I'm toggling over between the StreamYard and then also YouTube checking on that stuff.
Yeah, when I go to YouTube, it just says one waiting. It doesn't say you're live. So I don't know how he's watching you, but okay.
Let me copy that link again and send it to you maybe.
But yeah, so the reason why I hit you up about a photography business is because, I see it with this link now. Reason why I hit you up is because I was looking for ways to kind of stay active and kind of sharpen my skills with photography and videography. And so tomorrow I'm actually going to go do a video for a friend of mine who's a photographer who wants to have one of those kind of videos at the top of their portfolio that kind of show them doing photography. So I'm going to do that. Sorry, not tomorrow, Saturday. And I'm doing that, for free because she did a photo shoot of me and my wife for free, to kind of go help build her portfolio as well.
Yeah.
But I like what you're doing, because whenever I do stuff like this, I try to think, 2-3 steps ahead. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to someone who's actually doing it.
That's the entrepreneur mind right there. Because today, it's just like your mind is like, this is going on over here, that's going on over here. Then you got to think about the extra steps, and like
Right.
I like, not to interrupt you, whatever.
No.
But it's like on a wedding day, especially because it's so run and gun. Like in my second shooters, like I give them a heads up. It's like if I look at you with like a deer in the headlights kind of look, it's because I'm thinking about the 10 extra steps ahead that could happen and the 10 extra steps that should happen. And it's not because I'm tuning you out. It's because I'm trying to listen to you, which I like, guys, like we have a hard time, like being able to mix in conversations. So I got this conversation in my head going on while I'm trying to conversate with you. Yeah, it's just,
well, I mean, that's my professional, that's my job. So my job is a business systems analyst, and I'm essentially like a mini project manager. And so I spend a lot of my time listening to customers, understanding what they need, and then actually solving it with technology. So if they're sitting there describing the experience they want, or they're describing what the application they want to do, just like a customer trying to describe to you what they want for their wedding photos and their creative vision and the creative briefing or whatever, you're as they're talking to you, you're like, okay, I could do that. And you're asking them questions. Oh, so does this venue have this stuff? So I can do that type of thing. You start asking those type of questions, because you don't want to just listen to their request and go, okay, I can do it. And then you show up at the venue and it doesn't have what you need, and you didn't bring the right equipment, or so on and so forth. So I completely agree about the whole thinking, the entrepreneur mindset, because
it's all over the place.
Man, it's a loaded. It's tough. But I've been having trouble thinking of a name for the company, because right now, really for my YouTube, my actual YouTube channel used to be Gadget University, and that limited me, because at some point people started coming to me for tutorials. And if you go back on my YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of my videos were very over the shoulder, showing the phone. Hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that.
Right.
And I realized when I started doing case reviews and started doing other things, that things didn't really mesh right. Right. So with this photography business, I'm thinking I really want to start off doing real estate photography, because I could get in there with a gimbal, wide angle lens, maybe even a drone at some point, make, a couple $100 a house, do a couple a day, and let that fund my YouTube. But I'm also going to be building a brand doing real estate photography.
Yeah.
And so I don't want that to be my only thing. So that's why I'm also posting on Instagram, travel photography, landscapes. I did my first photo shoot right when I got back from camera camp.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me try to even it out a little bit, because I don't want to, pigeonhole myself into a certain category. And then at the same time with the naming.
Yeah, that's part of marketing too, is like the most strategists would tell you to like really narrow down what you do for whatever account. So like that's the hard part too. And my struggle is like I'm a aspiring minimalist. Like I'm not all the way there of like my goals and stuff, but like it got to a point where I think before I went going with my business, I had so many different social media accounts going on, and that was even on my personal end. Like, so I had some personal ones, and then I was also social media manager for a company, plus working with my church and things like that. So I was just like, I don't want all these accounts anymore. So once I quit that job, I was like, okay, I'm going to start just cutting down on all my stuff. And for a minute, I was like, even considering getting rid of the branding Bain Tech and just go completely Joshua Bain, and that's it. But then it just got, you just can't do that because you want to, like what you're saying, like you get an audience for a certain kind of topic, and then you want to post for something else, and just doesn't mix well. So that's where, like, I started to realize that I definitely needed to have different accounts for different purposes. Like my Joshua Bain one, it's more of like just the creative entrepreneur kind of side that does some travel here and there.
Okay.
And then like the photography, videographer mindset. And then I got Bain Tech, which is obviously like mostly just going to be smartphone type stuff. And then I got my Evergreen Creative Company, which is my business, and that's just strictly like finished product. Like I don't do much. Maybe some Instagram stories will show some more unpolished kind of work, but my Evergreen Creative stuff is all the polished work with a little bit of BTS kind of stuff. So it's definitely important to, I would say, like have your personal thing going, but also have some of your business stuff.
Okay.
But it is hard to come up with a company name like this one. Like for some reason, Evergreen was just really sticking out to me a lot. Like, so I wanted to incorporate that, plus like the Dragonfly, that like a lot of my stuff, I'll post a link with some more explanation about like the whole rebrand kind of stuff.
Okay.
And the thoughts behind it. But yeah, like it took a little bit of thought, but it kind of came to me at the same time. Just kind of, if there's things that are sticking out to you, maybe like that's the direction you need to go for naming and branding and stuff like that.
Okay. And I'm kind of already doing that now, mostly for like Instagram. I do a lot of more photography. I've realized that the last couple of weeks I've decided that I'm not going to post thumbnails or my YouTube videos on Instagram. I'm going to strictly post my photography, or if I post a advertisement for a YouTube video, it's more of like almost like a blog post, like almost like giving a little backstory about the YouTube video that I just did. Hey, I just picked up this whatever. I really like it. And then the video, the content that I post will be high quality, like a nice photo of the product or whatever, because that seems to be what Instagram is kind of for. When you kind of post on an account like mine, candid shots, with the family and things like that.
Right.
It kind of throws people off. Not saying I'm not going to do that, but I have to kind of build Matt Santana YouTube and Instagram and Twitter at the same time, but people know where to get different types of content for on each platform. So like Twitter, you get the random thoughts from me about tech. I throw out a lot of blurbs about the way I think something should work. So that's like Twitter. YouTube, you're going to get the video format, and then Instagram, you're going to get high quality photos and nice visuals and things like that. And then I'm hoping, just like you, that I can kind of develop a podcast where I can, be in an audio format or maybe in video as well, and just kind of talk about tech and kind of have different creative outlets, so that just in case somebody only follows me on Twitter, they know me for that. And every now and then they may see, oh, he also has a YouTube channel. And same thing with Instagram. Oh, this guy is a great photographer and he takes pictures and he travels a lot and he has a family and blah, blah, blah. But, oh, he also has a YouTube channel. So that way, if I'm, traveling, like I plan to go to Utah for in December, and I'm trying to get a NAR box, and I have some content planned around that. But if I just get a NAR box and then do a YouTube video about it, that's not really enough these days. It's just going to be an unboxing or hands-on of the NAR box. Right. I want to post some high quality photos on Instagram of the NAR box. I want to post random thoughts on Twitter about the NAR box. And then when I want to do like a nice vlog style video on YouTube. And that way, everybody who's on different social media platforms are getting a different experience, but they're getting information about the NAR box, and they're also getting to know me as a creator. Yeah, and that's kind of the direction I'm going. But then again, with the whole the photography business, that's something that I've kind of it's weird. Today, not today, but this weekend, somebody told me, somebody asked me, they saw me with the camera in my little Peak Design bag. And they're like, "Oh, are you a photographer?" And I was like, no. I didn't know how to answer that because I was like, I'm like a hobbyist. But I have done shoots, paid shoots. People have paid me to do shoots before. So, I mean, I guess I am a photographer.
I remember there was what was it, seventh grade, I think. Like, this is how far back it goes, but there's this quote that the technology teacher made, which he said, like, if you get paid to do something, that makes you professional. So you can take that for what it's worth, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm a professional. I'm gonna go ahead and update my Twitter bio. Be right back.
Professional.
I think I just put YouTuber. I'm gonna put I'm not monetized yet, so I'm not professional yet.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, like, the whole how you market yourself is so important too, because, like, just using my business as an example, like, there are gonna be jobs that you take that help pay the bills, like stuff that just gets you some income. But then there's also stuff that you'll want to market yourself for, so you want to take on those kind of jobs even more importantly. Like, for example, the wedding side of stuff, the videos that I want to create. I started out with more of a highlight style, which it's a popular way of doing stuff, but I wanted to go for more of the elopement style, the cinematic romantic kind of stories so like a short film versus a highlight film.
Okay.
So
I like that.
Like about a year or so ago is when I started adapting it. Like, it couldn't be a hard change because like, I already booked some clients way in advance kind of stuff. So, like, just communication with clients, current clients, and then potential clients. And, like, this is the style that I was going for. Plus, we did a styled shoot. I did that with another photographer and wedding planner and some other vendors and stuff like that. So I was like, this is my opportunity to, like, really present what I want to attract. So you're going to end up attracting certain kind of clientele. So, like, my goal is, like, I want to start getting phone calls for doing weddings, whether it's like an actual wedding or an elopement wedding, all over the country, all over the world, like that. Like, that's my goal. Like, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
And so, like, in my opinion, and this isn't a slam on anybody that does this kind of style of video, but most of the time, from what I've seen, clients are not going to book someone that does, like, the highlight style to go, like, somewhere else. Like, they want the adventurous kind of stuff, or they want the really romantic stuff. So if I can nail down that kind of stuff, that's the kind of clientele I'll be able to attract, and hopefully be able to attract people from out of the state, out of the country, and stuff like that, or be able to go out west again. And, like, imagine doing a wedding out in Montana, like in those places that we're at. It's just mind-blowing scenery. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had to start adapting the style a little bit, so that way I would attract those kind of customers and clients. And it's the same way with our Instagrams or all that kind of stuff. Like my Joshua Bain handle, my personal Instagram, like, I want to do more travel style kind of photography, or just, like, more things like that. And for a little while, I was taking on these Instagram jobs and stuff just to promote different companies or whatever, or their product. And it just did not, what really hit home for me even recently is, like, I was still doing those, and I was posting all this awesome stuff from Montana, like all these nice landscape stuff, or me, like, cliffside kind of things. And then I had to post this, like, toy doll thing, and it just, like, totally messed up. I'm not, like, all about the grid, but, like, you look at that and it's just like, that does not go with my stuff. Like, that's not what I want to do anymore. So I'm not going to be taking those kind of, it was like $35 a post. Like, it was nice little income here and there, but, like, I really liked how my Instagram was starting to go with, like, that kind of photography. So yeah, like, that's the things you got to make decisions about. And the earlier you can do it, the better, because you won't have to try to fix things later on. You already have that identity.
Yeah, and that's as I'm a planner. I like to think ahead, and I know that things can go differently.
Hmm.
But I like to know that, okay, I'm deviating from the plan. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you know, once I reach that point where maybe my plan isn't working, and then, you know, something else comes up, and I'm like, okay, maybe I do things differently a little bit for a little bit, and then I come back to the plan. But if I
Yeah.
don't really have an end goal in mind, or I don't have an end result in mind, then what ends up happening is you just kind of, spinning your tires. You're not really moving forward. You're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Um, I kind
Hmm.
of did that. I did that before with my YouTube business. Um, so back when I had it's the same channel account, but back when I was heavy into YouTube, I had somewhere around 8,500 subscribers, and
Hmm.
this was back when like a lot of YouTubers that are pretty big and semi-retired, you know what I mean? Like they kind of put out stuff every now and then,
Right.
but they're very respected. They were very small back then. Like this is back in like 2011, 2012. And I always think, man, if I would have kept up with it, I would
Hmm.
be much larger now. I would definitely be full time. There's no way I would not be full time if I would have kept up with it.
Yeah,
The
that was
problem,
my. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying the problem with that is that I kind of burnt myself out because I like you mentioned, you start off with this vision of you just want to talk about tech, or you just want to take pictures, or you just want to do, videography or whatever. And then you kind of get consumed. Like I was reviewing cases and products and just doing videos very quickly,
Hmm.
and they were getting hits. I mean, you go back and look at my videos. I was doing comparison Android, Windows Phone. Those are the ones I really wanted to work on. But then, like, I was getting sent products all the time, and I was accepting those products, free products. This is back
Hmm.
before they had all that stuff. I was
Yeah.
accepting free products just for videos, and I'm like, I look back and I'm like, if
Wish
they
I'd never done it.
if they sold one product, if a customer bought one product from just watching my video, they won,
Hmm.
because all they had to do was give me a free one.
My take on the free stuff is and you'll probably start to understand this even more, is like, would you do that for free on your business side?
Mm,
No. And so these
no.
Amazon sellers, these other companies, they're like, if they were gonna actually get some advertising, pay for advertising, they'd be paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars for the kind of work that we put into it. And
Yep.
so it's like there's this mentality that like it's super tempting. I fell into the trap. I'm getting better about it, and it also I won't get on a sidetrack, but it's like
No, this is good.
no, there's like my mind's going in different directions again.
Okay. Well, yeah,
So
hold that on.
it's like I got this one thought, but maybe I'll bring it up. But it's like the temptation is because, oh, it's a free product. Like this is something cool.
All right.
Um, the thing, and also these companies they'll look at your subscriber count and they might hold it up against you. But the thing is like what they got to understand is like if I charge you to have your product onto my channel, it's not because, and I'm talking about my Baintech channel. It's got like 35,000 subscribers. It's a decent amount for some, but still, it's like they start looking at that. Well, your views aren't as much as we like, or something. It's like, well, you're not paying for my views. You're not paying for my subscribers. You're paying for me to do the work.
Right.
So that's the
Okay.
thing. That's the mentality that I would love for all the other YouTubers and stuff to adapt. The exception at times is like if I know that I can make good affiliate marketing money from it, I don't mind doing it for free. For example, I just put out, I think about a week or two ago, iPhone 10 or iPhone 11 Max Pro cases. So I just did this huge haul video that showed like 30 plus cases or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I know that I did those for free. And like what I told companies is like, if you can send me your case by the time I make this video, I'll do it. But if it's going to be a separate video, it's going to have to be charged because one, my Baintech stuff is not a priority compared to my company. So it's taking away time from that.
That's a good
So it
point.
has to be like my Baintech still at this point has to be treated as a business, just because of the concepts at mind. But on the affiliate marketing side of stuff, you can make a lot more money even from that, beyond like if you were to charge someone $200 to do a video. Like you can make more money off the affiliate marketing. So it's not as big a deal in those kind of situations, but I'm trying to get better even on the Bane Tech side of stuff. It's like you just send them your prices, and if they do it, they do it. If not, whatever. And you just move on. Or you figure out different ways to do it, like do a Twitter post or Instagram post or something like that instead of a YouTube video. The like still kind of on the topic of the free stuff. The two things that killed my channel was getting excited about, I don't want to say killed, but it definitely hurt it. And timing wise, when I was building the business, it was all just bad timing. But doing free stuff, it's nice to get something for free, but it might not benefit for your viewers because your viewers are coming to you for a certain reason. So it's like my Bane Tech channel does better with smartphone related stuff. And then second category would be like camera type stuff.
Right.
And that's a hit and miss. So smartphone stuff definitely does well almost every time, considering what my channel is at the even for the life of the channel. The other thing is giveaways. Giveaways are horrible. Do not do them.
I'm very glad you said that, because I've been asking other creators about a giveaway that I've been wanting to do, and several of them have said, well, one of them was telling me how to do it, because they had a different mentality on it. So they said that giveaways are good in the sense of like a celebration, like 50,000 subscribers. And then you say, hey guys, I'm going to give away phones to everybody, or not everybody, but to 3 winners. Drop me a comment on what you would use this phone for, and I'll pick a random winner. And da, da, da. When you do that, you're essentially going to get views on that particular video, because people are going to be like, oh crap, yo, enter for me, or da 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 da. But for the most part, anybody who also subscribes, because you're not asking them to subscribe, it's not a part of the requirements for the giveaway. So anybody who also subscribes, residually they'll probably stay and then just kind of, be an extra, subscriber. So you may grow a little bit for that. But if you try to do the subscriber, the giveaway where you say, follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that type of stuff, what ends up happening is you end up having 10,000 followers on Twitter and you get 1 or 2 likes, you know what I mean? And that's
where my channel suffered from that. Like I was able to connect with some bigger channels than myself, and, getting those numbers in, I was like, dang, man, I was like at one time I was going like 1,000 subscribers a day for a minute because of just one of the channels. But you end up getting people that just go there for the chance of winning, and then they don't even look at your videos anymore. So you get all these subscribers, and that's why your view count isn't up. So it's like, to kind of wrap this into the business mindset, it's like you have to be strategic on what you do and be careful what you do and don't fall into these traps. And it's like on the photography, videography side of stuff, especially when you start getting real busy, it's like you don't have time to give away your time as much. So you have to value yourself. You have to be careful of what free. I'm not saying don't do free stuff. It's like you want to be good-hearted and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to come across as a jerk that you're only going to do stuff to pay. But at the same time, it's like people got to realize us as creators, we have to make a living. And I would say like creators are probably the most taken advantage career field out there. And this isn't a slam on churches and stuff, because some churches are really well at it. Some are not. Most of them are not. What's probably the number one thing that will be the type of position that will be asked to do stuff for free? So, and it's usually creatives like photography, video, doing even the PowerPoint or whatever kind of system that you're using. Those people are mostly doing all that for free. But like if you're going to call someone to fix your plumbing or fix your lights or do all that kind of stuff, you're going to call a professional to do it. So it's like, that's just using an example. And again, it's not a slam on churches and stuff, but it's just like kind of like a general statement, but just kind of narrowing it down. But it's like, it's the same mentality as like, even for charities and stuff, like we get requests to do stuff, and at times like we just can't do it. There's other times that we can do it. We have to look at our calendar, like how's our time going to be spent wisely. and things like that. So it's like overall, like I said, Bain Tech and my evergreen stuff is being treated as a business now. So I just have to be careful. And the hard part too is like with the Bain Tech stuff, like I care about it, like, and I constantly like, do I even need to do this anymore? Do I need to hang this hat up and just concentrate on my evergreen stuff?
Yeah.
And it's such a conversation to have with myself quite a bit, but like I just have to be like, there's so many opportunities that have come from Bain Tech that I don't think it would be wise to just hang it up, unless I just get this clear piece about it. I just never have a piece about it. So, like with that said, it's like if you just think about even just your personal life, like you got to be able to manage things like in a timely way. Like, you know, I was full time. I was working full time when I got into this kind of stuff, and so my business started becoming full time. So you don't want to cut into family. You don't want to cut into your own
Yeah.
personal stuff. You have to be able to manage that kind of stuff to be able to have a successful business, or like you got to have a balance of like your health in ways of spiritually, physically, and mentally. If one of those are off, they're all gonna be off.
So that's you bring up a great point, because I want to ask you this question right here. Do you feel like your creative skill set is I mean, definitely gotten better with you doing these projects, these weddings and things like that. But do you ever feel like the joy from creating things gets challenged whenever you're working for other people and what they want? And
It's
you know
like
what I mean?
I get drive from working with people. I would say like people have asked me if photography or videography has been a passion of mine. I was like, no. Um,
Okay.
and I love it. Like it's great, but I think it's more the fruits that come from it that I enjoy the most from it. Like I enjoy making people happy. I like getting responses from people when they receive something that they absolutely love. It's like I put out a wedding teaser from the last wedding I did a week ago, and the bride was like absolutely loving it. Like she said she watched it. It was just a 1 minute teaser. She watched it over and over and over and over. It's like, so like hearing that kind of stuff is a pretty big drive. But also, I enjoy trying to make people or bring out the best in them.
Mm-hmm.
So like that kind of stuff is like where I get a lot of drive from. So if I'm able to, someone that might not be comfortable on camera, or like they're not confident or something like that, and then be able to make something to where they look the best, like I really like that kind of stuff. So like I definitely get drive from people. So the more projects I have, it's kind of like the better. It's like when I'm idle, that's where I kind of get to where I'm like, I'm
Gotcha.
not
So like
not the
that,
best
but they're like their happiness doesn't really overwhelm you to where you're like stressed out, because you're just in that like that servant mentality where you really like to make sure that
Yeah,
they're happy and that they have the product that they want, or the end result or the final video or whatever.
yeah. I think where I get most stressed out is just making sure things are going to work out right. It's like this month, for example, yeah, we had some stuff on the calendar, but it seems like in the last couple of weeks, we've had requests to get stuff on the calendar like almost every day. So it's like trying to make sure that you can cover all your bases without failing. um, so like that's probably the thing I stress out the most is like if I do this, it means I'm gonna have to sacrifice somewhere else. So it's like someone I know, he would say like your yeses also mean no to something else, and your no's also mean yes to something else. So yeah, like that's probably where I stress out the most is like making sure I can get things done. Because it's like there's a difference between like a wedding. I'm gonna have a couple second shooters with me, and they can operate the camera, they can do all that kind of stuff. But when it comes back down to it, I've got to do all the creative stuff. So it's like at some point I would love to have another first shooter with me, or another person that can edit
Right.
the way I do kind of stuff, or whatever, or even better than I can do it, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's kind of like where some of the complications go. And we're kind of getting probably close to where we need to start closing out the conversation. But
Yeah, and we do have a question from Tyler Bowman.
oh, I don't see it. Where'd it go?
Just popped up. What's up, Tyler?
Tyler Bowman. He's local to my area, so I know him. It's not popping up in my chat. I'll have to go over to the YouTube channel. Is that where you saw it at?
Yeah, in the YouTube channel. I hope
Okay.
it's recent. Yeah, it's
Well,
not popping
like
up on.
on my dashboard for
Yep, it just popped up now.
okay.
It's
How
a
did you
delay.
transition from full-time job to being a full the thing was, like, to answer that question, I was it got to a point to where, like, earlier in the show I talked about my turnaround time, and I wasn't comfortable with where it was at. It got to a point where I was working at SpectraCare Health Systems as the social media coordinator and a prevention specialist. It was a full-time job, so I was doing that. Plus trying to do almost like a full-time or at least a part-time status of work with the company. And it got to like a pinnacle point to where I was like, if I want to continue with this business, I'm not going to be able to do this full-time job that I got going on right now, which was a big deal because, benefits and all that kind of stuff, I was going to have to put on hold for a while if I went with this business. But it's one of those things like you just continue to hit the ground running. So I was getting enough business. So my goal was like, if I can make this much money a week, I can cover my bills. And so once I got to that point, we were putting money aside. That was probably my wife. She was really good with financial type stuff. And so we were putting money aside. So since I had a full-time job going on over here, what I was making with BainTech, what I was making with the business I was building, we were putting that money aside. And so it got to a point where I think they recommend a savings of 6 months of income is the recommended amount. I think we had about 3 or 4 months, but it got to a point where I was like, I could not continue doing my full-time job and build this business at the same time, just because it was just not going to work out. So I just put in that notice and just continued to chime away at it. But I would say my number one way that I got to grow the business was becoming friends with other creators in the same field, or making connections and other vendors and stuff like that. And being able to make those good connections, making friends, not enemies, that I was able to get in with the city. I was able to get in with some of the downtown group kind of people and some just really good connections. And so I started making friends with a bunch of other companies and things like that. So build a good reputation is probably the number one way to grow, because if you're not good to get along with it, or if you're not doing stuff that people like, you're not going to grow. So
Right.
From the start, I made a point to make friends and not enemies. And I could probably say, I'm going to save this one story for the next time. And it's a story that I like to tell because it's such a good one. I'll give a little teaser to it. It's basically, I had it. There was potential to butt heads with somebody, but I did not. Like, I walked away and said, I'm going to get along with this person. And I did. And I ended up making 2 friends in the same industry, and it just worked out from there. So like, I'll save that story for another time, because I want to go into more details about that. And I think that like the number one thing I could say is like, make friends, because if you don't make friends, you can't do it alone. And that's definitely how I was able to grow the fastest, was be able to make those good connections. And of course, you got to have a good product and stuff too. But people, you gotta make friends, not enemies. Like, don't look at people as competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, just do your thing. Be you.
That's what was so nice about Camera Camp is I actually went there with the goal of just enjoying the environment, and absorbing everything that I can, and listen to just listen and talk and get to meet people. And it was weird because the other group, the larger ones, I noticed they were focused on making content and taking pictures and doing stuff like that. And I was more like, I was legit trying to learn how to work my camera at the Sony class. I was really trying to learned how to work the gimbal in the DJI class. And then as I got to, mix and mingle with, yourself and Micah and everybody else, it was really nice to just go, okay, this is what we're all doing.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about ideas and stuff like that. I think me and somebody, I won't say their name, but we were talking about some ideas we had, and we had the same ideas, and not once did it pop in my mind, he's going to steal my views.
Yeah.
Like this, that's not a thought you really should have, and same thing in my local area is I came back to my hometown, and I'm like, how do I build that same sense of community that I had there at Camera Camp? How do I meet more people, more creatives, more photographers? And I know a couple of photographers, but I never really engaged with them. And now I'm thinking, why didn't I? I had creatives right here next to me, and I didn't really realize I needed to work with other people to really grow until I went to Camera Camp. Somebody on Twitter said, it's one of the Ryan, I think his name is Ryan. He's a YouTuber. He's the one that dove in the lake to get Becky and Chris's FPV drone.
Right.
He said something really dope. He said, just because we're independent doesn't mean we need to be in isolation.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I felt that, because that's how it feels sometimes. You're like, you're sitting in this office or studio, wherever you're at, and you're like trying to focus on beating the algorithm and getting followers and engaging with your audience. You forget that you kind of have colleagues, you know what I mean? You kind of have, even though they're, kind of your competition in a way, but they're not really. And YouTube, I guess the culture is kind of shifting towards a competitive culture, towards more community focused, because that's where it needs to go in order for us to grow as an entire brand or genre, or however you want to look at it, because YouTube is becoming very powerful, and social, and I won't say just YouTube, social media is becoming very powerful as far as growing a business, and you can't do that alone.
It's like, I want to say, I say this, like, if I didn't have my business, I would not have a Facebook. But I get so many inquiries in business from Facebook that I have to have it. So it's like, social media is definitely like, it's a necessity in today's culture. I get so many, like, I have to look at the like it's just, I get so many inquiries from Facebook that it's definitely super beneficial. And like that, you just got to be able to make connections even on social media with people. That's just how some people connect. But any other questions before we kind of wrap up this conversation? Because
no, I think we're good, man.
There's a lot to talk about when you want to start your own business, like your own business, period. But I guess to recap, like the things that got me to become a full-time business owner is, from a full-time job, is like putting that money aside that you're making on the side. So like pretend it's not even income, just put it away. And some life lessons with that too is like, if you get kind of caught up in gear and all that kind of stuff too, but that could be another conversation too. Like, do you need to buy tons and tons of gear? That would be another good conversation we can have. But like, you need to put money aside, plan for that kind of stuff. Make as many good connections as you can with people, and then just prioritize how you spend your time and energy. Like between those three things, like that's going to get you on a pretty good track to be able to go full time. Now, like going full time with YouTube, going full time with that kind of stuff, that's a whole different ballgame. But like if you're trying to build a business to do photography, do videography, whatever it is, you got to make those kind of steps, because you can't just toss in the 2 weeks notice and then expect to start making the same kind of income. I mean, it's possible.
Well, that's false advertisement, because I thought you were going to tell me how I can turn in my notice on Monday. So, but no, you're right though. Like YouTube is a different game. You can't.
Yeah, that's totally a different thing.
Because you got to monetize in other ways, and it's not really guaranteed, and you got a lot of variables involved. But I like that advice about taking whatever you make from the photography, videography business, and then using that to build your, 6 months, salary or whatever it is, and then make that leap, because that's a pretty good cushion for a lot of people to, once you have that parachute, once you're able to take risks, you're allowed to think a lot differently. You're moving forward with a little bit more confidence, because you're like, I got this. Worst case scenario, 4 months in, I can start looking for a job. You know what I mean?
Right.
If nothing works out. But I like that. I need to.
I would say, like, another side note tip that maybe some people can take is, like, know your value. I was talking to another wedding filmmaker. He's also doing some other kind of corporate stuff too, or he's recently started his own business. And he was asking about pricing and all this kind of stuff. And he ended up telling me what he was charging for this wedding. I was like, bro, you need to charge more. Like, be confident in yourself. And like, he was wanting to hire on a second shooter kind of stuff. I'm like, if it was in my position, I would make no money off that gig because of the money that I need to invest into the second shooter kind of stuff. So it's like, know your value, and when in doubt, charge more. It's not because you're trying to be money hungry kind of stuff. It's, you got to be able to pay the bills. You got to be able to cover your expenses, and just charge accordingly. Like, I have a conversation with my wife often about, like, should we start charging more for this or that? And like I said, it's not because we're trying to be money hungry or nothing like that. We're just like, we need to be able to pay our bills,
right,
and not undercut ourselves so much. So, last bit of advice.
No, that's great advice. That's great advice, because you got to be ready to up your prices whenever you need to. And if you don't position yourself properly in the market, your customers will, get scared off. And
it's like,
you're not setting yourself up for growth.
Your first few for free or low cost or whatever, and then do it really well, like nail the job. And then you can market that. You can say, like, you've done that now, and you just start pushing that kind of stuff out. Like, make a bunch of micro content about that particular, like, if you just have one wedding, you post the heck out of it, you get it in front of people, and you just up your game each time. So
yeah.
All right. So if anybody else chimes in this late or anything like that, if you come watching this video at another time, feel free to leave a comment or any kind of questions that you might have. I know on the local side, a little preview to some stuff I got coming out. I'm hoping to, in January, launch some local workshops, kind of going over some photography, videography kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that. Be able to kind of share some knowledge with some people that are looking into, just whether it's for a hobby or if you're trying to just get into it, period. So that's some workshop kind of stuff that I got coming up pretty soon. That might help out some people. Plus, I know that even on a local level, and this is something else too, like, always be learning and educating yourself. I've seen there's some social media workshops happening locally in my town. So it's like, I know some stuff, but I don't know everything. So I'm going to attend that workshop myself just to see if I can pick up some knowledge. That was part of Sony Camp.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that they said that I already knew, but there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know. So it's just like always educating yourself and stuff like that. So be part of your community and use that kind of stuff for networking as well. Networking is huge. So hopefully you got some stuff like that going on in your area too that you can kind of chime in on as well. But
no, not at this time. I'm actually looking for that type of stuff. But definitely.
No, what I'm saying, like, that you can be part of, like, sign up for.
You mean like workshops and just different?
Mm-hmm.
I have to look up that. I know there's a lot of like young professional type of groups that
runs part of.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on to this channel.
No,
and
thank you for answering my questions. This is
the launch of my podcast. Like, so
nice.
But we'll see how it goes from here. Like, I love podcasting, want to do it, and this is a good excuse to
definitely
get it going.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody else, have a good night, and we'll catch y'all later.
All right. Bye.